Hi guys, welcome back to Reserved Investments on YouTube. So I am changing the scenery a little bit just for this particular video because I want to answer a question that I have been asked many times over the last week, and I want to expand on it a little bit. The question is, Sean, can you comment on the WATA Games appearance on the most recent season of Pawn Stars that featured the sticker-sealed, factory-sealed Super Mario Brothers game in WATA Games 9.4 condition that the seller wanted $1 million for? Was this a paid promotion on behalf of WATA Games and or Pawn Stars? And was this, if it was a paid promotion, considered an ethical violation in the trade? What are your thoughts? Well, this is a great question, and I did want to do a video on this, and I'm so glad that a lot of people have taken to the comment section of my videos to ask this question in depth so I can give an in-depth answer. I am going to be doing an upcoming Q&A, which may also be shot today at some point, I don't know, where I answer more in-depth questions that have been left either in the comment section of my particular channel or something I get through email, through the articles that I write through Antiques and Auction News, or people who know what I do for a living will sometimes ask me questions in regards to the antiques and collectibles trade that I do want to answer. So there's going to be a full Q&A coming up, but I did want to answer this one individually because I want to go in depth on this particular question. First, I did see this particular episode and this particular segment. I'm going to be very honest with you guys, and I'm going to have a plea to WATA Games kind of at the end of this video, but I was rubbed the wrong way when I watched this. It really left me feeling kind of disappointed and let down by the amount of manipulation that goes on in the secondary markets of a lot of popular collecting categories that the average person just isn't privy to. So if you were watching this and immediately you felt that something was off or something was a little bit wrong in this regard, you're on the right track, regardless of what your experience in the greater antiques and collectibles trade is. Because this is the second time that WATA Games now has gotten themselves in a little bit of what I call ethical hot water. The first was the original sale of the Super Mario Brothers game that sold for over $100,000. Well, they promoted it on their website. It was promoted through the news media. It was promoted through even articles in the antiques and collectibles trade, some of which I did author. I mean, I am also a writer in that regard, and I did talk about it in depth. But one of the things, if you read a lot of those articles, it talked about how one of the owners of, or co-founders, I should say, of Heritage Auctions and several of the people who are affiliated with WATA Games were involved in that sale. Well, in my opinion, that's considered an inside sale then. That doesn't mean that there's a lot of demand for a lot of these graded and so-called quote-unquote rare video games overall if people who are in the inside and privy to how the trade works are buying their own items. This is stuff that would not be tolerated in a lot of other established collecting fields. And what I mean by that, if some type of instances like this were to happen in coin collecting, or even currency collecting, or the art market, a lot of people would have legitimate grievances against the parties involved and against the companies involved, and it would be rightly justified. It's no different here. Now, to answer these questions in depth, was this a paid promotion on behalf of WATA Games or Pawn Stars? To answer that honestly, guys, I don't know. It just looks very fishy to me that normally when an overpriced item comes into Rick's shop, especially one that he really doesn't know that much about, normally he tells the person, well, good luck with that, shakes his hand, and shows them to the door. In this particular episode, what really bothered me was that somebody from WATA Games was already on site, ready to give his opinion and his appraisal on this particular item in question. Now, another problem that I had, and I don't know too many YouTubers that are looking at it from this perspective, when they started appraising the game, they said, well, we've already had offers for $300,000 or a little bit more than $300,000 on this particular item. Well, if that's true, there's your starting point for negotiations. Why are you taking it to a pawn shop and asking over 3 times the amount of the highest offer you had on the item because you want visibility and publicity towards what you do, what you grade, and the item in question. So in my opinion, I'm not going to say it was a true ethical violation because I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but let me just tell you guys, it rubs me the wrong way. And when I start to get that feeling, I really have to analyze where it's coming from. And when I keep looking at what's happening in certain collecting fields, especially those of a speculative nature, meaning vintage video games, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, when stuff like this happens, I really feel sorry for the average collector out there who isn't privy to what's happening in the trade overall or a collecting field that they're passionate about. And when they go and they start to put serious money into some of these items, I caution them because stuff like this is happening that is causing the market to be a little bit skewed or manipulated. Now, on the second part of this that we got to discuss is that does not mean that WATA Games is going away anytime soon. I know one of the things that I get emailed through the articles that I write through Antiques and Auction News is there's a lot of people out there that are really upset that the video game market is what it is today, where we have factory sealed copies of The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Kid Icarus selling for 5 figures or higher at present time. I really hate to say this, guys, but WATA Games is here to stay, whether you like them, love them, or loathe them. It really doesn't matter. The way that they presented their product through the use of teaming up with certain auction companies, mainly Heritage Auctions and Certified Link, both companies I have great respect for. The way that they did that is pretty much guaranteeing that their type of service and product that they provide is going to be around for a long time. And I give them all the credit in the world for being able to market a product and or a service in that type of capacity where a lot of speculators and a lot of investors are now coming into the marketplace en masse. But as somebody who analyzes markets pretty much for a living, or from what I do in this perspective, I have to be honest that I caution a lot of people from entering this market at present time. There's a lot of items that are selling on Heritage and Certified Link that are clearly overvalued, and the market prices and the market dynamics are not going to hold. That said, there are also items being sold on those sites that are clearly undervalued, and over the next 5 to 10 years, when the market corrects itself, some items are going to go up in value, some are going to drop down. You have to be very careful if you are playing in this marketplace. You know, I get asked a lot why I like investing in coins, currency, historical documents, collectible first edition books and artwork. Well, the reason being is, in most cases, a lot of those markets aren't being manipulated, like the Magic the Gathering market, the vintage toy market, the Pokemon market, the video game market. A lot of these items that you guys are going after that were mass-produced or are continually mass-produced, you have to understand there's a lot of speculation and a lot of market manipulation going on at the present time. My plea to the owners and operators of WATA Games is that they take a step back for once and stop involving themselves in stupid auctions or appraisals or publicity stunts or whatever it is they think that they need to do to get the word of their product out there anymore. People already know grading in regards to video games now exists. They need to take their hands off the gas a little bit, step back and say, okay, let's just see what the free market does in regards to our products. You know, it's quite funny because I often hear this a lot. There's a lot of libertarians that operate in the antiques and collectibles trade because it's supposedly a free market system with no government intervention. Now, I myself, I've said this before and I apologize to you guys, I am not a libertarian. I'm actually a left-leaning liberal progressive. I'm just going to put that out there whether you love me or hate me for it. That said, you have to understand when stuff like this is happening, the market is not free and it's not an openly fair market to the average consumer. This would be no different than NGC or PCGS, both top-tier coin grading companies. If they went on Pawn Stars and started appraising their own items, it doesn't work that way, guys. They're pretty much barred from doing that. In fact, if you go on their respective websites, even CGC, which is owned and operated by the same company that owns NGC, there's a clause that says the secondary market sets the price. All we do is offer an opinion and a grade to the items we certify. That's what WATA Games has to get back to. If they do not, it will eventually start to hurt the market as a whole, which it already has, and it's gonna have an effect on how they're viewed and their business going forward from not just people like me, but also people older than me and even more established in the overall trade. You know, the type of people that are in their 60s and 70s, they're experts in antiques and collectibles, and they don't even know what YouTube is. Those type of people are already looking at the graded video game marketplace and WATA Games in particular with kind of a glare where, dude, you guys are manipulating the market. You need to stop. This is not kosher. It's not cool. If you keep doing this, we're gonna call you out and there's gonna be repercussions. And I really think that's what needs to happen. More people need to comment on this particular topic in an honest and unbiased manner. You notice I did not start this video where I said, oh my gosh, WATA Games is manipulating the market. I have no evidence that they paid to have their item premiered on Pawn Stars, just like I have no evidence that Pawn Stars didn't call them up and say, hey, we really like what you're doing. We think we can make some money on this. Why don't you come on our show? I have no evidence to suggest either. But what I am going to say is it does look very shady to me at this point. And again, I appeal to the founders and the creators and the graders at WATA to take a step back, understand what you're doing to the market, and understand how it looks from people like me and other people who are very educated in this realm, where when we analyze these markets, we can go, well, that market's being manipulated en masse. I ain't going anywhere near that. Matter of fact, when people come to me for consulting advice, I'm going to tell them to stay clear away from that particular market at present time. Look at what these guys are doing. You see what I mean? That's not a place you want to be as a reputable third-party grading company. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to end this particular video here. I will follow up with a more in-depth Q&A on some of you guys' other questions. Thank you, and have a great night.